this is a program that I'm, a member of the, member of the Garden Club. Some members of that are here, and we are also members of the Fort Massac Naturalist Group. I'm really a bird photographer, nature photographer in general, but bird photographer here lately is what I've been concentrating on after I ran down all the dragonflies I could find in Southern Illinois. But so the spring bird migration, here's something that's kind of getting some help. These are young whooping cranes being led by this little airplane. This picture was made over at Benton, Kentucky. That's where they pass through on their migrations. But this fall, and I think I have a picture of it in here, this spring already, on the northbound migration, we had a pair of whooping cranes land out between Karnak and the town of Bowes in kind of northwestern Massac County. And so they're making it, and they were birds that got started doing it this way. Well, there are birds that we see a lot that are not involved in the migration. That's the year-round residents like the cardinal and the pileated woodpecker, the bald eagle. There are some migrating eagles come down in winter with us, but we have them year-round. They're not what we're talking about. And the great blue heron as well is in that group. But then there are some that winter here and then migrate north. They're here with us all winter, and then they take off and go back north. And then there's the group that winter south of us and migrate right past here. We see them when they come through, and we're seeing these right now. Rose-breasted grosbeaks are in, but they don't nest here. They got to go to northern Illinois and then on up in the Great Lakes to nest. And then there's that other group that migrate to winter in the south, and they come back every year to nest here with us. So we're going to go through these different groups of spring migrants that we see, or the migration that's going on in the spring here in Southern Illinois. This is the ruby-throated hummingbird, which is one of our ones that winters down in the tropics and comes back to nest here. Well, the overwintering migrants that leave to nest in the north. Now, would it help if any of those lights back there were turned off, or just plenty bright?
I'd like this middle one.
Yeah,
I'm not sure of the configuration of lights, so just bear with me. I don't know.
Yeah, that might make it a little better.
Strangely, the first try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the waterfowl, these are snow and blue geese. Snow geese and blue geese are the same species, just different color forms of them. And on the East Coast, they're all snows. Here in the Midwest, some of them are the dark morph that we call the blue geese. They spend a lot of them spend the winter here with us. They didn't used to. They used to go all the way to the Gulf Coast. But with the advent of rice farming in the Mississippi Delta region of Arkansas, and even in southern Illinois, they found habitat further north, and they stay with us now. And that might be partly due to the climate change too. It's getting warmer, and they don't have to go so far to find free open water that's not frozen over. And the same thing. This is our only wild goose we have with orange legs. That's the speckle belly, or white-fronted geese, white front from the face. And here's a couple of white-fronted geese or speckle bellies with a little Ross's goose. Ross's goose is like a miniature snow goose. It's about the size of a mallard duck. I took this picture right where the road goes up from Columbia Bluff. It was flooded right next to the highway there. I couldn't believe it, because you don't see very many Ross's geese. You see a lot of those larger versions that are more than twice the size of that one. And the Canada goose also, many of them migrate here and then migrate back north. But we also have them as year-round residents now. The giant Canada goose has been brought back from near extinction. Rather than the ones that naturally nested this far south. Mallards and American goldeneye. These are wintering birds with us that take off and go back to the north. And just as I was mentioning a while ago, is the trumpeter, and this is the trumpeter swan, we almost always used to get a few tundra swans, or whistling swans they used to be called. They nest in the tundra and then they winter on the lower Atlantic coast. So some of them would kind of come across barely in our area, and we'd see them from time to time. But now the trumpeters have been established as a nesting population in Wisconsin, and they've come to southern Illinois and Missouri too to overwinter now. And so they're the swan that really was native here and nearly was exterminated. It survived in the Yellowstone area and places like that, and had been brought back to its original range, from that stock out there. And of course you can see that they're banded. These overwinter in a strip mine just northeast of Carbondale. But I've seen them right down here at Horseshoe Lake and right across the road from the Cache River Wetland Center. We had some feeding in the field one time. And then our common gulls that we get here, the ring-bill gull, they go back and nest in the Great Lakes, and basically in the northern part of Lake Michigan is where most of them nest. And we even have these things. On real cold winters, we'll get the rough-legged hawk, which is a hawk that's got feathers all the way down to its toes on its legs. And it nests in the tundra. It goes all the way beyond the boreal forest to nest on the open tundra and comes back down here. And it likes open areas. Like it's a prairie bird, in effect, down here. It's much more common in central Illinois. Up around Springfield, where I used to live, you'd see them in the wintertime just sitting on the little fence post along the interstate. Here's the kinglets also come here in the winter, but then go back north to nest. And then the same with we have the white-breasted nuthatch is one of our permanent residents here. But the red-breasted nuthatch is a migrant from the boreal forest. And whenever they have a low food supply up there, we'll get them down here. And we can see them in the wintertime. But not every year. At least I don't see them every year. And the dark-eyed junco is what most people call a snowbird here from the winter. And they breed in the north. And the same with the white-crowned sparrow. And of course, here's the Lapland longspurs. They go way up to the north country to nest. And the snow bunting is very rare. Year before last, I got this picture right near Mervette. The only snow bunting I ever saw in Massac County. I got a picture of him. And we have one warbler that winters with us and then moves back north. And that's the yellow rump warbler. And they're still hanging around, but they don't nest until they get up to the northern edge of Illinois, and then from there on north. Then there's a lot of birds that just pass through here. They winter south of us, and then they come, we see them as they go by, going north to breed further north than us. And the white pelican, American white pelican, is a classic example of that. And same with the cormorant, double-crested cormorant. And the sandhill cranes, I don't know if any of you heard them fly over this spring. I know you did. You had them over your house. We always often hear them passing over more than we see them because they're real noisy. Do you know the sandhill crane call?
I don't.
It's kind of a croaking, really otherworldly type of a call. And
Yeah, that's
there
it.
you go. We can call them right there.
Yeah.
I'll have to pay more attention.
Now these were. These land as they pass through some, and they've started nesting now in northern Illinois. We have them nesting in northern Illinois now, but they had been totally wiped out for a while. This picture was made out on the Platte River there in Nebraska, where they really pile in there by the thousands. And these two were dancing with it, or whatever. And here's the whooping cranes. Now these are the ones that are they were down to less than 100 living in the world, and they've been brought back greatly. These are the ones that I showed at the very beginning, flying along the little airplane. They have them all marked with these so they can identify them by individuals. And these were a couple of years. Well, I got just about as good a picture as these are the ones this spring out here by Bose in Karnak as I did of this one. But this is a little bit better, and this picture was made over by Ulla when they were going I don't know which way they were going, north or south. I think these were going south, and the ones we saw this spring were coming back north. Caspian terns, the worldwide species that we get coming through here, they nest in the northern plains and they come up from the Gulf Coast and Florida and pass through here. I get pictures of them. I live on the Ohio River between Metropolis and Joppa, and the sandbars or gravel bars are out. You'll see these mostly nesting, resting out on the gravel bar. This was made right out from the coal terminal. Another thing we get is these old Bonaparte gulls have this big white streak down the front of their wing. They're smaller than the gulls that spend the winter with us. These just pass through from south of us going to the north of us. And the same with the common loon, and especially with the red-throated loon. Both of these were photographed at Mermet Lake. I've only seen one red-throated loon at Mermet Lake in my life, though. A lot of waterfowl spend the winter, pass through. Most of the pintails go south of us and then come back through. And the same with the blue-winged teal and the shoveler here. And here's a rare one we get, the white-winged scoter. It's a sea duck that winters, nests in the tundra in the North Country, and then winters along the Gulf Coast, just kind of like that the whistling or tundra swans do. And one of them, every once in a while, gets a little bit off. Their main migration route goes through central and northern Illinois. But every once in a while we get one here, and this one was, I got him at Mermet Lake too, or her, whatever it is. And the same with the spotted sandpiper, they just pass through. I don't think we have any sandpipers that nest here. Snipe, common snipe. And the same with the yellow legs and the least sandpiper. They're just, they've been down on the Gulf Coast, probably run along with the waves along the beach, and then they're coming back north here. This is on the gravel bar just out, again, the one that's right out from the coal terminal in the river. And the semi-palmated plovers, you don't see a lot of them. It's a little bitty short beak on them. And the same, you don't see a lot of ruddy turnstones around Massac County either. And the same, you do see more of these sanderlings. And the American pipit, a lot of people don't realize they're around, but they are. And they're gradually moving their wintering range. Some of the books now show them getting right up to the Ohio River. They're moving. A lot of birds are moving north as the climate gets warmer, and they have less freezing water, to deal with. And so this one, though, was still here when a heavy snow hit, and I don't know if you could say now that they're in this group or not, because some of them might actually winter with us, but I have not seen that for sure yet. But this one was here during winter weather, that's for sure. And the bobolink too. They mainly nest north of us in Illinois, but throughout the old prairie regions of Illinois. But I don't think they stop and nest with us. Swainson's thrush is one of many thrushes that just pass through. And the brown creeper, not supposed to nest with us. Some people say that in the cypress swamps, a few do nest in the cypress, stop here and nest in the cypress swamp, but I don't think that's ever been determined for positive. Wilson's warbler mostly just passes through. And the black-throated green warbler, there's a lot of warblers. And here's the black-pole warbler. These all go, we just see them, and for some reason this spring I have seen very few of these warblers. All the warblers that nest in and around our yard and are, the ones that come back and nest here, we've been seeing, And, but the ones that just pass through, I think I've seen one Tennessee, and, the other day, they nest here. That's the only one I think I've seen of the ones that just pass through here. It's just amazing. I don't know why you haven't seen any of them. Well, like the palm warbler and chestnut-sided one record of a chestnut-sided nesting up in Johnson County. We can't call him a nester here. He goes to the very northern tier of Illinois, and then on further of counties in Illinois, and then further north. And the same with the bay-breasted. Tennessee, I think I did see one Tennessee this year, but not any Nashvilles. I haven't seen any Nashville warblers. And for that matter, I think we did hear a Philadelphia vireo calling on the Heron Pond Trail. So I don't think I saw it. I just heard it. Same with the blue-headed vireo. Used to call this the solitary vireo. They like the Northwoods for nesting. But then we come to this large group of birds that nest to the south of here and come back here to nest, that roost or winter south of us and come back here then just for the nesting season. And there's a good many warblers and so forth in this group, but the ruby-throated hummingbird is one that comes to mind to most everybody. It's been down in the tropics. Some go all the way to northern South America. And then when we see the wood ducks come back, there are typically nesting duck here in southern Illinois, and you see them landing in the trees looking for holes in which to nest, because they do nest in the holes in trees. Then you know that the spring migrants are back. The woodcock feeds on earthworms with this big probe, and you know why he has to go south of here, because when the ground freezes, he is out of luck. And so, but when the ground does thaw out like this, they come back and they actually nest here. And I was mentioned a while ago about those geese, the snow geese that are wandering further north now than they used to with the advent of rice farming all throughout the South and the Mississippi Delta. Well, the same thing happened with the stilts. The stilts never were up here until they did that. Now we see black-necked stilts every year. Martha and I were on Sunday went birding over in the Mississippi bottoms, and we got a lot of pictures of the pair. They were paired up, but I don't think they were nesting yet. They were maybe looking for a place to nest. But it was not in this area when I was growing up. It's a recent arrival, moving north. Hooded merganser is our other duck that nests in tree holes, like the wood duck does. And it's not near as common as the wood duck, but there's one, I think, nesting in Heron Pond this year again. I had it flying around and they make a clucking noise as they fly around when you're waiting for you to leave, so they can go in their hole without knowing where they're living, where they're nesting. Least tern. Now, a while ago we saw the Caspian tern that was just passing through. This is one that nests here on gravel bars and sandbars in the Ohio River. This picture was made again, they call it the little chain bar on the Corps of Engineers navigation chart for the Ohio River. We always just called it the gravel bar when I was growing up. It's right out in the middle of the river, out from the coal terminal. And so here's, you can tell them with a large yellow beak. Black-crowned night herons come back here to nest. They're colonial nesting herons, but they don't seem to nest with the great blue herons and the great egrets. For some reason, they nest usually with smaller herons, like around here, little blue herons, and so occasionally with snowy egrets. Here's the other night heron we have. This picture was made right off the Heron Pond Trail. The yellow-crowned night heron. It's not a colonial nester like the black-crowned nested in colony. This one just nests individually, individual nest. Here's those other two I was talking about, the little blue and the snowy egrets. These pictures were made on the Mississippi bottoms over, I don't see them very much on the eastern side of southern Illinois, but mainly over along the Mississippi River. And this picture was made near Horseshoe Lake. And this, likewise, this is one that the cattle egret nest a lot with them. And I was just amazed that the cows will let them just stand on their backs like that. And this picture was made over by Fayetteville, near Olive Branch. Then another thing that comes back, and they're back now because they nested right in our neighborhood, is the Mississippi kite. I saw one, there's one on our regular walking route, and he was sitting there yesterday when I walked by him. So I think it's the male. I think the female's already maybe on the nest already. Whippoorwills have declined tremendously from when I was 20 years ago. I don't know what's going on. They migrate to the tropics every year. I don't see a big difference up here unless it's some chemical or something that's affecting them. But I mean, it's very hard to even hear a whippoorwill now. There's a lookout tower north of Simpson called the Trig Tower Lookout in the midst of a vast forest. Used to, you could go up there at dusk and there would just be whippoorwills calling all over the place. We did about 2 weeks ago, we went up and we heard 2 whippoorwills, and they might have been the same one, or a little bit different place. And it's just sad to not know. It could very well be something going on in the wintering ground and not anything to do with it, because our forest seems to be expanding here in southern Illinois. Their habitat does. Acadian flycatcher is our commonest flycatcher. They come back and spin. All these birds pretty much that feed on flying insects migrate south and then come back. But you can see phoebes all winter. And they're usually feeding on something right at the edge of the water. And I don't know whether it's like insect larvae or what. I've never heard anybody exactly explain how they manage to stay here all winter. But they do. A few of them do. I think most of them leave. And then the tree swallow is one of the first ones to come back. And they don't go so far south. They just go down to Florida or along the Gulf Coast. And so they're an early returner. But all of the swallows are in that group. There's a barn swallow. And cliff swallows build this really intricate mud nest. And I once entered this photo in a photo contest, and the judges turned it on its side because they didn't think a bird would make its entrance straight down. It would be coming out of it. This is in the entrance to Cave Rock, at the Cave Rock Illinois State Park over in Hardin County. And they were doing that. So I had marked the top on the photo, but when it was displayed in the contest, they had rotated it 45 degrees to the left, because they thought that's the only way the birds would be doing it, And a lot of people, one of the birds you really commonly see are chimney swifts. And of course, they're another one that take insects on the wing, and they go south and come back here and nest. And they're really hard to see. I've never climbed up and looked down into a chimney. But a friend of mine up near Ozark has an old cistern in his yard, and they nest right in. They go right down in that cistern, and that's where I got this picture. These are juvenile. There's 3 juveniles in the nest, and then there's 2 adults. They just plaster a little nest there on the side, and that's what they need.
Is that that's looking down into the cistern?
I'm looking right down at them.
Oh. Okay.
They're right below me, and I just took a picture like that. Kind of. That's the only place I've ever really seen them on the roost or on the nest is that. I've never climbed up and looked down the chimney. And I don't know how far down the chimneys they go anyway. They might go beyond seeing down there. Baltimore Orioles, they're back in our yard right now. Fish crows are back. We have common crows all there, but the fish crows go south. Summer tanager comes back to nest here. Much more common than this is the scarlet tanager. He's less common. You almost have to go up in the Shawnee Hills. I do. The summer tanagers are right around here, but you seem like you got to get up in the big woods to see the scarlet tanagers. And you need to go to open country for the blue grosbeaks. Everybody sees a lot of these little indigo bunnies, but these are bigger than the indigo bunnies, and they have this real brown on their wing. And you need to go to an area, a brushy open field to see them. And it's like, here's the little indigo bunny there at my feeder at the house. Another grassland bird that comes back, there's grasslands in northern Venezuela, just in the north edge of South America. And in these grasslands, this is where the dick thistles spend the winter. And then they just come back from there. They're one of our most common nesting grassland migrant birds. They're just calling themselves right now all over the place. And the other real common ground nesting sparrow here is the chipping sparrow. Has that real distinctive brown cap. And one of the rare ones is a Henslow sparrow. And the place where I got this picture is the Forest Service and Department of Natural Resources. Several groups have gone together for a big grassland habitat management unit called the what do they call it? They call it some ranch, a Pennant Bar Ranch. It's just about a mile on 146, either side of Route 146, about a mile west of Dixon Springs, maybe a mile and a half. There's 3 square miles of brushy habitat on each side. And they burn one side of the road one year, and then they burn the other side of the road the next year to maintain that grassy habitat. And that's where I've seen more of the Henslows than anywhere. And that's where that picture of the blue grosbeak, that's where that was made too. Wood thrush has really declined greatly from what it used to. It has such a beautiful call. It would nest in our woods if our woods were big enough. It nests on the ground, and cowbirds, well, so that it's vulnerable to being got by ground predators like raccoons and possums and skunks and things. And then at the same time, it's also vulnerable to cowbird parasitism, and cowbirds lay their eggs in it. So they've really taken a big hit, and they're not nearly as common as they used to be. And then the blue-gray gnatcatcher comes back to nest with us. And the redstart, I saw a female redstart at Mermet Lake yesterday. They are back. And the Louisiana water thrush. These are easy to tell because they bounce along on the edge of the water. They like to go along little creeks, and then they bounce along. There's a northern water thrush that's in that group that just passes through. They don't nest here, but the Louisiana does. And the two look quite a bit alike. Black and white warblers are rare nester with us, but I've seen it both in Union County and in Polk County. The hooded warbler is more to the west side. I don't see very many of them at all in the eastern part of southern Illinois. I like to show this picture because we were over near the Pine Hills just driving along. I'm trying to get a good picture of this warbler. And that's the best place. It was over on the Pine Hills Road on the back side of that. And really in the middle of a really dense and extensive forest where the cowbirds really can't really find a place to eat. There's not enough. They need to at least have some grassland. They don't have to have cows exactly. But that area was really good. So we were driving along with the windows down, and Martha had stopped. She knew the call of the hooded. And so she said, there's one just singing right next to the road. And we stopped and got out. And he was just sitting there. And I took his picture. And then only later did I notice that he had been in a fight with another male. And look at that feather. It had been pulled out and he still hadn't gotten it off of him. He had just won the battle for the territory and he was bragging. He was sitting right there singing his heart out. I won. And here's the little Kentucky warbler. It's real common. Nests in lower brushy areas in our forest. Parula nests way up in the trees, and it's our littlest warbler, but they migrate here to nest, and they're real common. The cerulean, this blue warbler, is less common, and when they're around, they're hard. You hear them singing from the tops of the tallest trees, kind of, that kind of thing. And it's hard to get them down where you can get a picture of them. Pine warblers we have here in summer nesting out, and I'm not sure how native they ever were before the Forest Service planted all these big pine plantations. One of the best places we always go to see this is the road leading into the campground at Lake Lindale. There's just a lot of them along there in those big pine trees, and that's where this picture was made here. And also, you need to go up into the greater Shawnee Hills, I call it, the bigger part of the hills, to see the worm-eating warbler. They typically nest on about 45-degree angle sloping woods in large tracts of timber. And you don't find that around this area that much. You used to go a bit north to see that. And so this one was made, I think, up at Fern Cliff State Park. And some of the lowland areas have some of our nesting warblers. And this is the yellow-throated. It's on a ball cypress tree right on the Heron Pond Trail. And of course, the prothonotary, all like the wetlands around, like the Heron Pond Trail or Pine Hills over in Union County are good places to see them. But we don't have a swamp around our house here near Metropolis, and we have one nesting yard over here. So they don't have to have swamps, but they do kind of like lowlands. Yellow warblers. The best place I know where I see a lot of yellow warblers is that Bennett Bar Ranch. They got all kinds of ponds that they put in there for the ranch, for the cattle to use, and all the willows around those are usually full of nesting yellow warblers. And the brushy fields like that, very good for the prairie warbler. Prairie warbler is not strictly a prairie bird. It nests here, but it nests in brushy. It likes old fields, we call it, with open areas, but with scattered little shrubby trees. And it's mostly on the east side of the forest of southern Illinois, not so much on the west side. But Polk County is probably the center of distribution for that one. And this is also the only place that we see the blue-winged warbler. The blue-winged also likes the same habitat as this other, as the prairie warbler does. Brushy habitat. Has this black streak through its eye, and the blue wings, of course, which kind of give it away. We've seen it up on the Dixon Springs Ag Center, places like that. I've seen it right out here though, by actually beyond Mill Spring. We go up into the Cretaceous Hills Nature Preserve there. I've seen it in the Cretaceous Hills Nature Preserve. One of the real rare ones, though, that I think nests here every year, the Swainson's warbler. It's not very showy. It likes to nest in kingbrakes, real thick brush. And it used to nest right on the Heron Pond Trail, but it's not been there in a long time. And also in the western part of southern Illinois, over on some of the creeks over there. But it just really is hard to, we're just on the edge of its range. And there's more, if you want, it's just, most people don't realize it, but Reelfoot Lake is just about a 60-minute, you can almost drive there in an hour and a half. And then you'll be in your regular habitat. But if you want to see one in southern Illinois, it's kind of hard to spot anymore. It's distinctive because it doesn't have a bump here. I mean, one of our birders used to say that it doesn't have a stop for its forehead. Kind of like one of those canvas-back ducks or something. The beak goes right into the head. And then this is the common yellowthroat, is also considered in the warbler clan. They're real common in brushy and open areas. And the ovenbird used to be, but it's not anymore. The ovenbird makes a nest like a bit on the ground, like an oven, just a big pile of stuff with an opening in the side. So it's just so vulnerable to ground predators and probably nest predators too. But you can still, we've got a cabin up near Rock in Polk County, and there's one patch actually in a big pine plantation where we can almost every summer we can hear the hummingbird or the ovenbird. It goes. It's one of the few birds that it goes teacher, teacher, teacher. He keeps getting louder. So most of them start out high and go down. And he starts out low and goes up in his calling. So you can tell when he's around. And then the yellow-breasted chat also is considered a warbler. He certainly doesn't have a warbler beak, and he's in brushy fields too. And he's got the most weird call you've ever heard, one of the most distinctive calls. They're back now. We saw them the other day. The vireos are they're a little bit larger on average than warblers, and they have this thick beak. This one's the white-eyed vireo. You can see this white eye in this picture. And you see all the spider webs here. He was attaching, I caught him, they built a nest just about this one was built just about this far off the ground. And I think that's why he wouldn't leave when I walked up there. He was kind of wanting to stick around this nest. And only after I took the picture did I see all of the stuff he'd been hanging here. And so he was over on the little Black Slough area. I took that picture. But Bell's vireo is another distinctive one of the prairie community, and especially for the few bush around. And Bell's vireo migrates way off to the southwest and then comes up our way in the spring. Seems to be getting to be a little less common every year, but I took this picture over by the Cache River Wetland Center. Warbling vireos, they're probably most widespread. They nest all the way from California to Carolina, all across. And they're back now, and they nest right in our yard. We got some there now. And the yellow-throated vireo, too, I think I took this picture right there by the house. We got some other new southern things moving in. Scissor-tail flycatcher is one of them. And they migrate up here now and nest almost every year. I haven't seen them yet this year. But that's kind of the, and here's the result of the nesting. Another wood duck with all of her little nesting. And I'll call it the end.